Okay, well, we have a lot of folks here, Boris. We're probably able to start whenever you're ready. I'll keep an eye on the waiting room and bring people in.
Yeah, I think, let's see, I think everyone is here from my team. Let's see, Anne, are you there? Oh yeah, there you are. Okay. Josh is there. Rebecca's there. Okay, yeah, we're good to go. So if you're ready, Adam, then we'll get started. Okay, great. Well, good evening, everybody. We're very excited to be kicking off the Lawrence Route Redesign Study. I think this will be a very important and exciting project. So there was an agenda that went out with the meeting invite that probably most of you saw, and we'll mostly be sticking to that agenda. But as we get into kind of the second part after introductions and we get into kind of the discussion, feel free to, stray somewhat if you have anything on your mind that you'd like us to know about. That's fine, because tonight really what the aim is for us, the consulting team, to kind of wrap our heads around what some of the key issues are that preceded the study, why the study is happening now, and so on. So we'll get started first with introductions with our team, with the consulting team. So I'm Boris Palchik with Foursquare Integrated Transportation Planning. I'll be the project manager for this study. Let's see, Josh Diamond will go next. He's a VP with our firm. So Josh, you want to say hi?
Sure. Josh Diamond, as Boris mentioned, I'm a vice president with Foursquare ITP. I'm excited to get started on this project.
Okay, so Josh is going to be what we call the PIC, principal in charge. So he's going to have sort of an oversight role on this project, some QA, QC, and just making sure things stay on track overall. Then we also have Rebecca Slocum, who's one of our transportation planners. She's going to sort of act as my deputy on this project. So Rebecca, you want to say hi?
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm a transportation planner, and I'll be working quite a bit on this project. So nice to meet you.
Okay, great. And then we also have Anne Herzog. So Anne is going to be leading our public engagement plan she's going to be formulating the public engagement plan that we will then follow throughout the study. So Anne, you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Anne Frame Herzog. I'm actually a Lawrence resident and I'm over on the southwest side of Lawrence right now. So Adam, next time if you need some company, I can always come down and sit with you. But having worked with Shocking Consulting, we love working in Lawrence, and we're really excited about this because transportation obviously is key, as we're finding out more and more over the last year. It's been really important. So glad to be here.
Great. All right. Thanks, Anne. So now let's hear from Adam. I'm sure most of you know Adam, but do you want to say hi anyway?
Sure. Adam Weigel, Transit and Parking Manager for the City of Lawrence. Started just about a year ago. So excited to work on this project. It's got a lot of history with it, so excited to move forward on it.
Okay. Wow. Now, how do I choose who goes next? Let's go with Felice next.
Hi, I'm Felice Laverne. I started with Lawrence Transit a couple of months ago, so I'm new but very excited. I'm the planner too for Lawrence Transit.
Okay. Anybody? Aaron let's see. Aaron, do you want to go next?
I'm assuming that's me. I don't know if there's any other Aarons. My name's Aaron Quittenberry, and the reason I say that, everybody calls me Quiz. So when I hear Aaron, I kind of do a turnaround. I'm not sure if anybody's talking to me, but I'm with KU Transportation Services. I've been in this role working with the KU on Wheels bus program now for 3 years with Margaretta, but I've also been on the KU campus for 24 years. So it's good to see everybody.
Okay. I guess Margaretta would be a good next introduction. Margaretta, you might be on mute.
If I have technology. Okay. I'm Margaretta DeFries. I work at KU Transportation Services. I have been in that office for 23 years and working with transit through KU's transportation services since 2007. So that's 14.
Okay, great. Thanks. Ginger?
Hi, my name is Ginger Dahl. I'm the general manager for First Transit, and we operate the service for the City of Lawrence and for KU on Wheels.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from KU or Lawrence Transit that I haven't yet called on? Okay.
Since we did Ginger, let's do Tiffany and Justin.
Okay. Tiffany?
Hi, I'm Tiffany Thorpe. I'm the operations manager for First Transit.
Okay, thanks, Tiffany. Justin? Justin may be on mute. All right, we'll come back to Justin later. Let's see, let's try the MPO next. So we got Jessica. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Jessica Mortinger, Transportation Planning Manager with the MPO.
Okay, Ashley.
Hello, I'm Ashley Byers, Transportation Planner with the MPO.
Great. And is that everybody from the MPO, University, and Lawrence Transit? Okay, so for everybody else, I'd like you to introduce yourselves, but then also kind of give us maybe 1 or 2 sentences about your interest in transit in Lawrence. So I'm going to go based on the order the people appear on my screen. So Carol Bowen.
Hello, I'm Carol Bowen. I'm a commissioner on the Multimodal Transportation Commission. I probably bring 2 special interests. One, I'm an avid pedestrian and always have been. I do ride the bus on occasion. And I guess just one.
It's good enough. Gary Reinheimer.
I'm with the city. I'm with municipal services and operations. So I'm kind of helping Adam with the building side of the project.
Okay, great. Ron May.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron May. I'm with Lawrence Public Schools, and I kind of serve as a liaison with the city, especially with traffic and stuff. I oversee transportation for the district. And I've served a couple terms on the Lawrence Traffic Commission, so I kind of was in the background when some of this stuff was kind of starting at the beginning. And I apologize in advance. I'm about to sneak out of here at about 6. I have another commitment I have to be at.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us. Gary Weber.
Hi there, I'm Gary Weber. I'm the Secretary of the Lawrence Association of Neighborhoods and the President of the Sunset Hill Neighborhood Association. I'm an active transportation activist and bus rider.
Great, thank you. Kenny Yates.
Hi, I'm Kenny Yates. I'm the Director of Operations at the Lawrence Community Shelter. Transportation is pretty critical for our clients, so I'm happy to be here and be able to contribute.
Good, thanks. Charlie Bryan.
Hello, my name is Charlie Bryan. I'm a member of the Multimodal Transportation Commission, and I serve as the alternate for our commission.
Okay, great. Thanks, Charlie. Laura McCullough.
Laura McCullough with Lawrence Douglas County Public Health. Areas related to the community health plan that intersect with this would be our access to healthy food, including improving transportation for access to healthy food, and then also work around chronic disease risk reduction and improving active transportation.
Okay, thank you so much. Melissa Fisher-Isaacs.
Hi, I'm Melissa Fisher-Isaacs. I'm the Information Services Coordinator at the Lawrence Public Library. The library has kind of been the unofficial bus station for a while. So we interact quite a lot with bus riders. And the work of my department, an important part of that is to connect people with community resources. And a lot of times getting people to those, transit is an important part of that. So yeah, so very interested in this work.
Excellent. Thank you, Melissa. Eva Steinman.
Hello, yeah, I'm Ava Steinman. I am the community planner for FTA Region 7 for Kansas and Missouri.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Ava. Andrew Moore.
Good evening, everybody. I am, well, of course, Andrew Moore,
I am the Student Senate Treasurer at the University of Kansas, so I'm kind of here representing all of us college students. So maybe I should have gone during the KU time, but I'm going now.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, thanks, Andrew. And then John Moore. John, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay, good. Hey, everybody. John Moore. I'm with Kansas Department of Transportation. I am their public transportation manager. I guess professionally, I have a relationship with Douglas County and the city of Lawrence as fiscal agent and oversight needs for not only the Lawrence Transit, but also for the rural and specialized transportation needs of Douglas County. And I guess personally, I'm a KU grad, if you can see that. Knowledge of the city and community come with that, being there, living there for 6 years. So pretty excited to see this project go forward, as well as the transfer facility as well.
Yeah, thanks, John. All right, Kim Kreiner-Ritchie.
Hi, I'm Sustainability and Food Systems Analyst for Douglas County in the Lawrence Douglas County Sustainability Office. So I'm here representing interests on that part, perhaps particular to our upcoming climate adaptation planning process, any ties to that. I'm also staff liaison to the Food Policy Council, and so also bring interest for connectivity to healthy food, as has already been mentioned by some individuals as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Kim. Christopher Tilden.
Hello, everyone. My day job is research project manager at the University of Kansas Center for Public Partnerships and Research. That's probably pertinent to this discussion, principally because I used Route 10 of the bus system to get to and from work. And a lot of my meetings in the community happen downtown. And so I jump on Route 10 to get from work to meetings in the community. So I've utilized transit quite a bit, not only Route 10, but that's certainly most of my experience with the public transit system. I am representing Livewell Douglas County, which is a health and wellness coalition of around 150 residents in the community. For 10 plus years, we have had a healthy built environment work group that focuses on system and environmental change to encourage active transportation. We believe that transit is a really key part of that active system. So I chair that work group and am also chair-elect of the coalition as a whole.
Okay, thanks, Christopher. August Redisell, if I said that correctly.
Yeah, it's close enough. It's Rudisell. My name is August Rudisell. I have lived here in Lawrence for about 19 years. I am on the Public Transit Advisory Committee with Adam, and I'm also I've been a daily writer for about 6+ years.
Okay, great. Thanks, August. Frederick Gibb.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Frederick Gibb. You guys can call me Freddie. I am a PTAC member along with August and work with Adam. I also run my own consulting firm called Lead Horse LLC, which is a small Native American community development firm. And I'm here because I really want to help expand resources and opportunity for high school students.
Okay, thanks so much, Frederick. Ron May. Okay.
I already went earlier.
Oh, did you? Okay, sorry. Let's see, who did I miss then? I think Justin maybe is the last person, Justin Priest. All right. Well, I think I got everybody. If not, then speak up. Okay. Great. So let's get started then. The first item on the agenda is talking a little bit about what we call the project catalyst. So how we got here, why this project is starting now, and a little bit of background information. I think maybe it's good for maybe Adam to cover this a little bit. We read the RFP document that laid out some information, especially kind of the laying out of or moving of the transit center from Vermont Street downtown to the new site on Bob Billings, or at least, partially moving potentially, but other background information that may be useful to our understanding of the project and its catalysts.
Sure. So the main transfer area for the bus system historically was at 9th and Massachusetts Street downtown. And in 2010, there was some construction activity in the area that resulted in the need for that main hub to move. It moves a couple of times in a short time span within a couple of years, landing at its current location across from the library in 2013. And so we have been operating there since 2013 with the majority of our transfers still technically a temporary location. There were studies in 2014 and 2018 to look for sites for a transfer hub that could accommodate more passenger amenities and a little more space for safer operations. Those sandwiched another 2016 attempts to go after a Tiger grant with the University of Kansas for a hub on their campus. So there's been a few different attempts to find a suitable location for a main transfer hub. One of the locations identified in the 2018 study was the southeast corner of Bob Billings and Crestline. So that is a site that we have signed an MOU with KU to move forward on development of a transfer hub at that site. There is not any transfer activity right there at this time. So it requires that we do some significant route redesign. There will certainly still be the need for transfers downtown, and that's the way we've structured the facility project, is to not only do improvements at Bob Billings and Crestline, but also some limited improvements downtown to still accommodate a handful of routes that might still transfer in that area. So there's a need, that's what's catalyzing this need to look at the system as a whole. I do think in times of change like this, it's an opportunity for us to think about other service models too. So it's not only how do we serve these new facilities, but should we take a step back and think about, is our transit system doing what we want it to do in Lawrence as a whole? So I think that's an opportunity for us to look at a more big picture as well.
Got it. Yeah, so anybody else want to add to that as far as catalysts for the study? Okay, that pretty well covers it. Okay, so then the next question is, how should we measure success? I mean, clearly there's a need to restructure the system because such a prominent hub will be moving or will be created. So we need to make sure that we can work around that and create seamless transfer opportunities. But how else? What other metrics are key to the success from a community standpoint? Anybody can weigh in on that? Typical metrics are, things like ridership. Obviously, that's a top metric, and productivity. So, what resources do you have to invest to get the ridership that you do get? Things like on-time performance. But are there any other things that, other than those really basic ones, any other metrics we should be aware of that are kind of key to the success of this project?
This is August Budisell. Just something that we've talked about on the PTAC committee is this efficiency of the bus route layout. I've ridden in other cities and the efficiency is much lower. So there's multiple transfers and a significant walking distance to get to transfer stations. And so Lawrence, one of the things I've stated I've appreciated is Lawrence routes are pretty efficient. You're able to get from one side of town to the other with minimum time and usually just one transfer. So I think that's crucial.
Okay, so maintaining the ease of transfer and fairly fast travel times. Okay, Carol, I think you had your hand up. You're on mute, Carol.
There. I don't know if you could measure it or not, but it sure would be interesting to know if we actually reduce vehicular traffic because of bus ridership.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's a good measure. Okay, anybody else want to weigh in on measures of success? Charlie, go ahead.
Charlie Bryan, MMTC Commissioner. I'm kind of intrigued by some data I looked at recently that measures the percent of households that are within a half mile of transit. It's 65.7%. And that number, when it's looked at by high frequency transit, which I'm not sure how that's defined, but it's a distinct measure on this website I'm looking at, it says 13.5%. That seems like a pretty low number. I'd be interested in knowing how that could be increased so that more households have access to high frequency transit.
Okay, very good. So coverage and accessibility are good measures of success. Okay. Anybody else have any thoughts on measures of success? Okay.
I might throw out a few things, but I didn't want to jump in. Oh, I see Melissa unmuted. Go ahead.
I guess I just wanted to mention, I was part of the anti-poverty work group that was part of the community health plan. And there is a strategy in that plank of the plan that is tied with some transit goals. So it might be worth taking a look at that as well.
Okay. And then who was speaking before Melissa?
Go ahead, Cam.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Adam. I was just gonna piggyback on Melissa's comment that the food system plan for Douglas County also has strategies about locating routes, connectivity to healthy food access. And so I think, we're talking about efficiency, but maybe we can drill that even more to efficiency to healthy food as well.
Okay. It's a good thought. And that actually is a good segue to the next bullet point, which is unmet needs. So food access is one, and in many communities, there are sort of food deserts, or grocery store deserts, as I think they're called sometimes. Is that a major issue in Lawrence? And then any other unmet needs that you feel transit can be a solution to solving?
This is Freddie Gibb here. Yeah, especially in the east side of Lawrence, that's a big food desert. And just with the news recent that came out, that there's a potential discussion with the school board to close Kennedy for a childhood facility. And so that right there, you're going to have to find, well, where are those kids going to go? Where they're going to walk to, the closest school, from my opinion, there's Cordley, Perry Park, and I mean that's very different from the fairgrounds, and so we have to kind of put that in consideration too. So kind of following what the city's doing, I guess.
Okay.
There are actually 3 food deserts in Lawrence. One is also North Lawrence, and the other is a significant portion of the Pinckney neighborhood, which is very large, and the connections to grocery stores from both North Lawrence and Pinckney are not simple. You have to make at least one transfer to get to any grocery store.
Okay. And the third one you were sorry. So then the third one.
Freddie mentioned that there was one in East Lawrence.
Oh, East Lawrence. Okay.
I was just adding the other.
It'd be like East Lawrence, Perry Park neighborhood. I mean, where my parents live, the closest grocery stores, like
Checkers.
I don't even. From Perry Park, I don't know. Maybe Walmart, maybe Checkers. I don't know. Yeah,
Checkers is the closest.
That's kind of crazy, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other unmet needs? And those can be either geographic, or they can be kind of by time of day, or even things like frequency, that there are issues of getting to places in a reasonable amount of time. Any other unmet needs?
I have another one.
Sure.
So like just providing alternate safe routes for high school students at night. There was never a night line for them or nothing. They're students like KU students are, but they don't have the reflected same access. And I understand there's a funding discrepancy, obviously, with the involvement, but like that was a big thing too. And also I know you said metrics, but like whether it's analytical data, like I feel like if you don't see a kid walking with groceries on Mass Street ever again, then that's a positive metric, like from going back from high school, because I've seen that so many times where they're just walking with their groceries, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, so.
Okay.
Carol Bowen, MMTC Commissioner. I was looking at the maps on the report that was done with KU and doing a little role playing, like living in a neighborhood. Could I get to City Hall? could I get to a recreation center? Could I get here? Could I get there? And I found that we might be connecting geographically, but I'm not sure we're connecting people with their destinations.
Okay.
That's true. I would also add that access to grade schools and junior high, well, middle schools from some parts of town based on how the school district has their districting and division lines. I do a lot of the phone customer service, and I know that connecting some people to their school for their young children is very challenging sometimes.
Mm-hmm. What's the situation with school buses in Lawrence? Is it robust? Is it lacking?
They have one, but the minimum distance, I believe, is 2.5 miles.
It's a 2.5 mile. We basically bus who we can get funding for. So unless you have a special IEP or some special reason, then 2.5 miles is the qualified distance. We do try the kids that, a lot of kids hit just on the other side that they might be 2.3, 2.2. And if we have room on a bus, we get them on it. Mm-hmm. But it's very difficult. And it's hard to tell a family that has a kindergarten child that they live 2 miles away that they're within quote unquote walking distance according to the state.
Sure.
And we just don't have the budget to be able to run buses for all those kids.
Okay, got it. All right. Christopher, I think you're on mute. Christopher Tilden.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to add to that. I think there are a considerable number of middle school, high school students that do utilize the transit system as a mechanism to get to school. I'm really intrigued by Carol's idea of, particularly in some of our neighborhoods where people of lower income or that may be more dependent on alternate transportation other than personal automobile, thinking about how is it that they access our major employers, how is it they access schools, how is it they access grocery stores, food pantries and whatnot. I think that idea of recognizing the efficiency of routes from some of those low-income neighborhoods, I think is a lens that seems worth thinking about.
Right. Okay. Very good.
2 other things I mentioned, Boris. We always hear about Sunday service being an unmet need. So, that would come at the expense of service elsewhere, but that's something we need to work through. Similarly, as we built into this project, we want to explore fare-free service. I think that's a discussion that the community's wanted to have for a while, and this is the appropriate time to have it, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay. So let's talk next about any recent efforts that you think are noteworthy, either for their success or failure or lack of success. So things that may have been tried in the last 10 years or so that you think we can learn from.
One that jumps to my mind is flex service or fixed service in the Peterson Road area, north, central, northwest. It's an area where we consistently get requests for more service, but have not seen ridership there. So I think that theme is probably true in other areas too, where demand just doesn't merit a fixed route, but there's
like
every to serve it with fixed route, but that might not be the right tool.
Also, everything west of Wakarusa.
As not performing well.
We don't actually have service there because there's a lot of town that's been built on the west edge of town that we've never served.
Okay. And Adam, you mentioned flex service, right? Can you describe that?
So operating on a fixed route, but can flex into different areas if there's people who request rides in those areas. So I'm always a little concerned by that type of service, just because to me it's kind of the bad of both coins. Your fixed route service suffers from reliability, and Flex is not as good as true on demand.
Sure. Have people been utilizing the Flex aspect of it?
So I might ask Margareta, maybe you speak to this. So this was prior to my time, but I know we had this service operating up in that area. I'm not sure. It's my understanding
did.
Low ridership.
The ridership was enough that we set the route into a fixed route, and then we changed it a few years ago because of the low ridership in that Peterson Road area. But I could go back and find where we made that change in order to provide some data about what was happening in each phase of that, if that's something you want to look at.
I think it sounds like it's safe to say the Flex service wasn't like a resounding success. No. Okay, that's good enough. Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts on recent efforts we can learn from? No,
I think that we should talk about Nightline and how successful it has been.
Okay.
This started before Adam's time and Ginger's. And when it first started, it was 2 vehicles, and they've added, I don't know how many vehicles we're up to now since I don't monitor that one, but they've continuously added vehicles in order to meet the demand of the nighttime demand response service.
Okay. And that's still, has that been affected by COVID, or has it been operating throughout?
Ginger?
It was impacted slightly with COVID, but not as much so, because the service itself actually services a lot of warehouses and overnight industry that stayed going.
On a fixed alignment?
Yes. So, but with the Nightline, a little bit of the challenge is the fact that by servicing that, it's individuals that are going to work at those bookend times. You know, but they're working the night shift. So we get them to work and we get them home from work.
Okay, great. All right.
Hey, Boris, this is Quiz. One thing that probably just everybody should be aware of, and I don't know if there's anything that could ever be done about it, but you know, the city bus system and the KU on Wheels bus system are funded on 2 separate funding models. And so just knowing the differences, you know, the city operates, you know, Monday through Saturday, KU on Wheels operates Monday through Friday when classes are in session. You know, our bus routes for KU go till 10:30 at night. I think, Adam, are you guys like 8:30, somewhere in there, I believe? Yeah. So just understanding those little differences and finding out if there's a way to maybe even try to consolidate or get both a little closer on the same page would be.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Has that been an issue during holidays and like other times when school is not in session, where people who are not students but rely on university funded service have come to rely on these routes and they go away during break time? Is that?
Yeah, yes. I'd say that's accurate.
Yes,
now, how prevalent it is, I'm not sure, but I do know that we get calls on it, you know, every year when those come up and we're not operating.
On the first Monday after classes end, there is always a flurry of calls about people who don't have service suddenly.
Yeah, we hear that a lot in college towns or, you know, communities with large student populations. That's quite common. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit now and talk about the process, the project process. So there's kind of 3 primary components of input that we're going to take from you guys. So there's going to be a market analysis, which is looking at the environment in which transit has to operate in Lawrence, things like density, things like land use, things that help us understand where different types of transit service may be most appropriate and most effective. So that's kind of a technical analysis. The other technical analysis is a service analysis. It's looking at what's happening today with your routes. So we'll be, and maybe when I say today, I really should probably clarify that, because we know that COVID has changed things. So we'll be looking at what service looked like, pre-pandemic, as well as what it looks like now, because some travel patterns may be a bit different these days. So those are the service and market analyses. Those are very technical analyses, but at the same time, we're going to be doing outreach, stakeholder engagement, stakeholder outreach, and that includes all of you, but it may include others as well. So with every phase of our study, we're going to have a series of stakeholder meetings. So public meetings and stakeholder, kind of smaller group stakeholder meetings of invitees, much like this meeting here today, but potentially with another group of stakeholders if that's appropriate. So I'd like to start with talking about stakeholders. Is this group here today fairly representative of the community, or do we need to reach out to a broader group of stakeholders? In other words, is there some group that's sort of in between the public at large, because we will have public meetings, and this group? Is there sort of a need for a more refined group of stakeholders in addition to all of you? And if so, who are those stakeholders? Who's not at the table today that should be, that isn't just the general public?
I understand that this person might be really busy, but Christina Haswood, that represents District 10, I think should be a really quintessential stakeholder, especially for Haskell, their involvement in this plan. But like I said, she's really busy, and so it just really depends.
Okay.
Carol Bowen, ADA. We don't have anyone here representing ADA issues.
Are we doing paratransit analysis in this as well?
So Adam, correct me if I'm wrong here, but our primary focus will be fixed route service and potential demand response, but more general public focused. So we're not doing a specific analysis of ADA service. Is that correct, Adam?
Right. So our paratransit service will continue to operate as complementary to fixed route service, but this particular study, changing fixed routes will affect where paratransit service might be, but in general, it's going to be the city limits of Lawrence. So if there's specific quality issues or other things regarding to the city's T-Lift service, we can certainly accept those as staff and figure out where the solutions might be. But this particular,
I'd like to add to that the paratransit service area being in the city limits is already expanding beyond the requirement of 3/4 of a mile, because there are only very small pockets of town that don't meet that requirement right now. So we're providing paratransit more than required at this point.
Okay.
I was not referring to paratransit. I was referring to ADA and traveling on the regular buses.
Okay, I see. Are there any stakeholders that are, I guess, difficult to reach that we should be aware of, that we'll need to make a special effort to try to get them involved? And
Haskell. I know
Haskell?
that Freddie is on here, but our experience in past attempts have been that we have not been able to get Haskell involved in past studies.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
Oh, I was going to say there's a student bus pass program that's been going on now for a few years. And I believe it's several hundred passes are sold each semester and also the summer. And I think families that are purchasing those might be a stakeholder group that would be worth involving in some way. I don't know if the children would be able to participate, but maybe the family, the caregivers could be consulted.
Okay.
This is August. I purchase those every semester for my teenager. I mean, I'm just one person though, so that doesn't constitute much.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm not certain who all the local community groups are that do purchase passes on behalf of clients. Adam could probably rip those off pretty easily. But some of those groups are representative of end users of the system. I appreciate the fact that Gary's here from one of the neighborhood associations. I do think there are probably
probably are neighborhoods in our community that aren't represented. So thinking a little bit about some of that geographic representation, as well as some of those high user groups, I think would be helpful.
Okay.
Also, I don't talk about this. And how about any key employers or businesses that should be other than KU as a key employer and the school district?
I was just thinking the same thing that Anne was in regards to, like, I don't know if there's anyone on here from the East Hills or Barry or some of those employers that I know have heavy use.
Are those some of them? Are those some of the employers that have been served by the Nightline service?
Yes.
Certainly.
Okay.
Yeah, picking specific employers was a tough, thought process to figure out who you might invite, but we did, not able to make it tonight, but Hugh Carter from the Chamber was one way we tried to engage the business community.
Okay.
I'm wondering if maybe someone from the Workforce Center or Peasley Tech might be also able to speak to sort of that, getting people connected with employment piece.
I don't think it's been mentioned yet, but I would add a representative from Just Food, the food bank of Douglas County, as they would have great connectivity to their clients and their transportation needs.
What about medical facilities, hospitals, things like that? Is there anyone that we should include there?
Heartland, potentially.
Say what? Say that again.
Heartland Community Health Center.
Heartland, yeah, okay.
All right. Okay.
I don't know if we have anybody from LMH already, but I'm sorry if so, if you've introduced yourself already, but perhaps Allison Coons with LMH. She's involved in a lot of community projects and she's a community outreach person. And this isn't specific to health, but I just want to mention, I don't know if anything has been done to try to reach some of our Hispanic population. Some of the population may not be English speaking, but trying to get their input and seeing in which services they use would be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, good thoughts.
Or some, we were talking about medical, maybe Bert Nash as well, and other agencies like that in Lawrence might be worth chatting about. And just from a student perspective, I don't know if it matters or not, but like all the apartment complexes, right? I mean, we have a lot of our bus routes that are running directly right to them. If any of those routes may be affected or stays the same, maybe it's worth having their input. Not sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
What about United Way for all the other charities that aren't just food related and medical, to get somebody from United Way involved to represent all the rest of them?
So I won't put Megan too much on the spot here, but we had included Leah Roslin from the United Way Human Services Coalition, where a lot of those groups that meet and discuss issues, and Melissa mentioned the anti-poverty work group that came out of that. Leah's moved on from that position, but Megan has stepped in to help us with that lens, as well as from SRC. But.
Okay.
What about like DECA or something too? Could that be somebody? Good.
Sure. Okay. So as we put together the engagement strategy, it will be multifaceted. So there will be many opportunities for people to engage, whether it's in person or online. We're assuming that at least toward the start of the project, most things will be online, but we'll see how things go over the course of the study. One of our first efforts will be a transit survey, and that survey will be an online survey, but we'll look for all of you to maybe help us spread the word on, and the link to the survey once it gets created. We hope to capture a lot of riders, and in fact, we're going to try to make the survey, ensure that the responses are statistically significant based on the ridership levels of every route. But we want to go beyond just the riders. We want to also target non-riders who are prospective riders or who may represent riders as their constituents or clients or whatever. So the transit survey will kind of be one of our first engagement pieces, but we'll also supplement that with focus group meetings, public meetings that will, like I said, initially be online, but could potentially move to in-person later on. And we'll be providing content for, I believe, Adam, if I'm not mistaken here, you guys will be hosting the website, but we'll provide the content, if I have that right. Yes, okay.
Project page set up.
Right. Anne, any thoughts from you on any other engagement strategies?
Yeah, my one concern is I want to know is, because we always talk about doing online surveys, are there any other people that we think won't do an online survey that we want to make sure we reach? I know, see Megan nodding there, like that we would need to get like hard copies and then we can input them, obviously. But is that, or we want to target or know who you think might be that? We'll flag those, and you guys will need to tell us who it is so we can get you those too, so that we can make sure those are included, because I know some people won't do online.
Yeah, I was going to ask if that's a possibility. I think if you pursue that strategy, that it really helps to like have an active presence. It's not going to work to sit surveys in a box, on a table and ask people to fill them out. I'm thinking back to the community health improvement plan development. We had good participation with the survey online. Those tended to be more representative generally of a more affluent, younger demographic. To get a really broader demographic, we utilized locations like Just Food, the food bank, the library, and had staff there to pester people to participate in the survey. And we ended up with over 2,000 responses to that survey through that mechanism. So I think choosing some high traffic locations in our community really could help ensure broad representation.
Okay. The approach we were taking when we were writing the proposal for this project, we were kind of thinking in the context of COVID. Obviously, everybody was thinking in the context of COVID. So we were thinking we will primarily have an online survey presence, and then we will track the responses and see if they're representative. So if they're representative of the ridership volumes that we're seeing on the routes, if they're representative of the demographic targets that we may have, of the income targets that we may have, and if it's looking like the results are not representative. So for example, if they're trending higher income than we would, expect or whatever, we can follow that up with in-person surveying, sort of targeted in-person surveying as needed. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that to make sure that we have what is generally, agreed upon as a representative sample.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Adam, don't you know where the primary riders come from? Which stops?
We do, and I was going to offer that we had some success last fall with paper surveys on board of vehicles, and some of Ginger's staff, road supervisors, doing intercept surveys at our downtown transfer area with clipboards to get people in that way. So we can. I don't want to commit Ginger's staff; they're very busy to do a whole lot more of that. But it was something that I think we could tap into again, and did give us people who maybe wouldn't have ever done it on a phone or computer.
I wanted to mention that the library has been sort of a passive survey collection site for several recent surveys, and we have had success with people filling those out. And I guess I would mention. Often, if you give people an incentive for filling out a survey, that's always a good a good carrot also.
Okay, very good. All right, so those are all really good thoughts as we develop the engagement plan as a first step. So thank you for all that.
Hey, Adam, real quick. Sorry, Boris. Adam, on the My Bus Lawrence app, would we be able to make an announcement somehow that included a link for the survey? And then anybody that had the My Bus Lawrence app might be able to get access to the survey? I don't know if that's a possibility, but something to consider.
Yep, we can use push notifications, send that
That'd
out.
be great.
Okay. And any last thoughts on this?
No, but if anybody thinks of anything after this, just feel free to email Boris and myself like that. Just say, please, make sure that's, because I know when I'm in the showers when I always think of things. So.
Yes, Margareta.
I want to add that from our meeting last week, I want to make sure that we make an effort to have the survey ready and able to send out to students before final exams start. Because my experience is that if we don't catch students while they're in class, they are much less likely to actually complete a survey. And so that might mean that we want to pull the beginning of the first survey period forward a little bit.
Right.
And then in the fall, move the end of the survey period into the first couple of weeks of class so that we make sure that we catch them coming back too.
Right. Yeah, that's a good plan. Yeah, so then I know we're kind of getting close on time here, but so the next bullet point is data collection. The survey is a big component of that. That's a big part of how we get initial input from stakeholders and the public. Other data sources we'll be looking at are things like census data for the market analysis, information from a regional travel demand model, which helps us understand population density, employment density. We'll be looking at key demographics, people with disabilities, where there's concentration of those, zero vehicle households, those kind of demographic information sets. And then we'll also be looking at the existing ridership that's going to come from APCs, which are called automated passenger counters. So we'll be actually looking and processing ridership data from the buses that are being collected on an ongoing basis. So we have a very data-driven approach, but it's also informed by a lot of stakeholder input, stakeholder engagement. And the last bullet point is the management process. So this meeting here, we're going to be repeating on a monthly basis. If I'm not mistaken, is that correct, Adam? Once a month, we'll be reconvening this group. Okay. Yep. We'll also be doing bi-weekly meetings with a smaller group of sort of the project management. So folks like Adam and Jessica and a few folks from KU and the city. And so that's going to be a smaller group. We'll just be meeting every other week for a phone call to ensure that everything remains sort of on track as we go. And then, other than that, the project, let me bring up the timeline real quick just to make sure I get this accurate. I think we're just a couple of weeks behind schedule, I guess, based on what we had proposed on this project initially, but the entire project is set to be completed by the end of December. So we've got a lot to do. We'll be engaging with all of you on a regular basis. And we're going to get started right away on the market and service analysis, and Anne will get to work on developing that engagement plan that we will run by Adam and his team, and then all of you as well, to make sure that we have a good plan to go forward. So yeah, we have 5 minutes left. Any other questions that anybody would like to bring up? All right. Well, I want to say thank you then for giving us all the input. It was very useful, and we really look forward to getting additional input from all of you, especially once we have some ideas that we can vet off of you and have you guys swat them away if they're terrible and give us thumbs up if they're decent. So so thank you very much for taking the time out of your evenings to join us today. All right. Okay. Well, thanks. We'll talk in about. Yeah, I'll talk next time. Bye-bye.
A nice evening.
Bye.
Bye.